Welcome back to Live Car Build, guys. Today we're going to be doing a window regulator on a 97 Crown Victoria. This is the LX model. I've seen several different designs. We'll talk about that while I take it apart. This particular design I'm unfamiliar with, so we'll start at point A and we'll find our way to point B and we'll get it done. And meanwhile, this one's been damaged. There might be a couple of extra screws that you won't see because somebody may have added them. It'll give you a general idea of what's going on, and hopefully it'll help you get your project done. So let me get you in here and we'll get started. And by the way, this is the piece we're going to be replacing. This is the window regulator. It's inside the door. We'll be taking that out. That's what raises the window up and down. So just to get started, this one does have a couple of extra screws in it. The door card's been broken actually right here, so it might be a little different than yours, but what we'll do is we'll start at the obvious place and we'll move on from there. This piece here, you're going to want to take a flat blade screwdriver. This needs to come straight up. There's little clips on there. This one obviously is going to come right off, but you're going to want to get in there, preferably on this corner and right under this corner, but don't get crazy with it and start prying up and get a hold of it and get your fingers under it, and it'll come straight up. You don't want to pry it, you know, this way or that way. You want to go up with it. Then we're going to pull it out, and in this case I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these wires. So let's do that. Be careful with some of these plastic clips, they get brittle. Okay, for the time being we're going to set this aside. We may need it, you know, eventually. Now I can see automatically there's a screw right here, and you can take a screwdriver on the top of this little plate on this model, pull this plate forward on the top and bring it out. There's little tabs on the bottom. If it's not broken, they'll actually go in there and it'll hold the bottom so that the top pries out, and then these little legs will come up out. We'll set that out of the way. Looks like there's a screw in there and there's a screw right there, and we're going to take these added screws out as well, and then we're going to see what happens from there. This is a Phillips. And this one is a Phillips. That's a longer Phillips. Oh, and the first one that I took out got a built-in washer and it's shorter. This one came out of the door handle, and this longer one came out of the plastic below it. Now I'm going to take these added screws out. I'm amazed that didn't hit the window. Now at this point, it's my understanding that some of these models had 3 screws. There'd be one about here, and there would be 1 or 2 down on the bottom, and they would be in like a recessed cavity. There's nothing in this piece down here. This trunk lock, I don't know if it needs to come unplugged or not. Okay, those added screws are out, at least for now. I might find more. I mean, I understand what they did. They needed a door that closes. They don't need this thing flopping around. Okay, so after removing these screws over here where this is broken, what I noticed is that this particular model has latches on the back, so you don't want to pull it out. It doesn't snap in like, you know, the old school ones. It lifts up and then it comes out. And there might be an extra screw in here, you never know. And there is somewhere down here. Yeah, somebody's added a screw right there on this model, on this particular one. So let me get this kind of back in place and I'll get that out. Don't be discouraged, guys. This is an oddball situation. Oh, actually it kind of looks like that belongs there, maybe. I'll get a different screwdriver with a thinner. Okay, so this screw doesn't belong there, but there is a factory screw right here. Like I said, some have 3. One's there, one's about here, and then one's over here somewhere on the bottom. This model has the 2 in here. Of course, taking this out, and this model has 1 down here, and it's in a factory recessed hole. But somebody has added this screw over here, and that screw is non-existent on this particular car. But that's what you're looking at for yourself. So far there was 3 screws, and I lifted in order to get this loose. If it was factory, there would have been 3 screws, and I would have lifted straight up. And I'll try and show you those hooks in a minute. let me unplug these wires, at least for now. Okay, so right here, let me try to show you. This is what you're dealing with. This hook goes into a square hole, so you would lift up on the door card and then it would come out. So when we'll put it back together, we'll put this hook in a square hole and it'll push down and then it'll hold right there. So don't pull out on these because you'll break these off. I'm going to set this out of the way for now. Yeah, in this case, this is just an oddball job because it's been damaged. So this particular one was, like I said, 3 screws, lift up and undo the wiring and it'll come right off. So now we're going to remove this and get it out of the way. And actually just back here is okay. Just for ease of access in case we need it, we're going to take this speaker out because there's a hole behind it, obviously, and we might need to be able to get our hands in there to hang on to something. And we're going to unplug that. There we go. Set that aside. And it looks like we have some rivets here and some bolts there. So this is where I'm going to compare. Okay, and they look pretty comparable, so we're going to go ahead and start taking this apart. Looks like 2 nuts right there. They're probably 11s. Now I'm using a 1/4 inch wrench because you don't have to monster tight this stuff. It needs to be tight, but it doesn't have to be monster tight. Now that actually seemed to be a little bit loose. It came right off, so. That one felt a little better. Oh, and I can obviously, we need to just go ahead and get this off. But be careful of this window falling. If you're worried, take a piece of tape and wrap it from you know, the center of the window on the inside and up around the top, and then attach it to the outside of the window and give it a little bit of length down the window so it has plenty of glue to hang on. So a piece of duct tape from about the middle of the window up around the top down to about the middle of the window will hold the window anywhere you want it. You may have to move the window around, so be aware of that. Okay, now that we've got some rivets to take out. I think I'll go ahead and take out these screws first. Okay, to start with, I'm going to take these bottom two out. And as soon as it breaks through, it'll release. And it don't take much. That was a 3/8 drill bit. It's pretty good size, but you have to drill the top of that rivet off. Now at this point, you see that? That window just dropped. I don't know if you saw it or not because of the angle, but you gotta watch your fingers. If my fingers were in the wrong spot and that drops, that's gonna hurt. Now what I'm doing is I'm knocking the center out of this on this window. I could have done it down there as well, but the whole piece is being replaced. But I want to be careful with the window, and I want to take this center pin out. It will remove. You just don't want to get too carried away. Don't hit real hard because you're hitting on glass right there. Get your rivet piece out. Now I'll have to find a way to get at the other one. So let's find out where we can get a hold of it at. Right there it is. So we're going to have to drill it out through this square hole right here. I said, don't hit that hard. Now I gotta drill that rivet out. There we go, there's one. Now I'm gonna hang on to the window up here. See where I got it? I don't want it to drop. And I'm gonna take the other rivet out. Okay, I need to drill out the first rivet a little better. Okay, the rivet is spinning, so I'm gonna make an attempt to get a hold of it with a pair of pliers. There we go. I think I got it. Now, for the time being, I want to lift this window up out and get it out of the way. Be careful when you're doing this. Let me show you. The glass is pretty stationary, so I'll move you over and let you see. Now what I'm doing is I'm kind of wiggling this window out from the outside. I'm dropping the front down, allowing the back to come out, and there we go. The glass is out. I'll put you back. Okay. Now I want to start getting this window regulator out. So I pushed the two studs out where I took those nuts off. Now we're going to turn this sideways and we're going to start trying to fish it out of there. There's that piece. It's coming out in pieces, guys. Now here's the motor. You need to push this tab down to get this one out. Now, we finished taking this last screw out, and this motor should come off. Pry that spool off. That's what happens. This is the spool that the wires travel on, and it gets all twisted up and broken. And okay, so now we need to put this on the new piece. So that fits in there. You get these screws lined up and you screw these back together. These screws hold this together. This bottom one near the motor, on the left hand side of the motor, you don't tighten it all the way because it's going to fall into a groove to help hold it up while you get the other screws in there. Okay, so now we're going to fish it back in there. Careful now, because these new pieces, some of them have sharp edges and they'll get you. Okay, so that first screw, kind of falls in place there. And then the other two go in. And then you can tighten up all three. Okay, now I'm going to try to get these studs back in the hole where they belong. Right there. And we can put these two 11 millimeters back. Yeah, these were 10s. These two are 11s. Now we got to find a way to either get rivets or bolts back in the bottom. You never know, I might take a couple of bolts and put them in there because it's easier. Now notice I'm using my wrist and a little bit of arm strength, but I'm not going crazy getting these things tight. They're tight, yeah, but they're not overly tight. Now, the motor's back in place. The regulator is back in place. We got to find some bolts to get that back in there. Loosen these back up just for a minute. There we go. There was some adjustment there. That's what I was looking for. So now I'm going to find a couple of small bolts with some nuts to put on there, and I'll be back. Okay, so here's what I decided. I don't have a rivet gun that's big enough to handle the rivets that came with the kit, and it does say in the instructions about the ability of using screws or bolts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these bottom two that are holding on this track with bolts, and they're going to be probably these shorter bolts. So I have a bolt, and I'll find a washer, and I have a lock nut as well. Now these bottom ones I'm going to wind up making, reasonably tight because it's metal on metal and it's no big deal. So what I'm going to do is probably go ahead and put this in first and get that locked down, and then I can tighten the top two back up. So now I got a lock washer and a nut. The lock washer is going to help it stay tight. And this is just a little bolt. It's like a 5/16 bolt. It has a 7/16 head. So I've gotten a 7/16 socket. That's reasonably snug. Oh, and just so you know, here, let me show you. I think it's a 5/16 bolt. It has a 7/16 head, and I have a lock nut, or a lock washer, and a nut. It's just a small one. It's not very long. The ones that I'm going to use to go through the window are going to be a little bit longer, because when these little ones, they're the same size but longer. When these little ones go through the window bushings, there's not enough left after the washer to be sure that I have good thread on the nut. So they'll be a little bit longer. So that's what we're going to do. These here, what, maybe an inch. The other ones are probably like 1.25 inches. And I'm going to grab a 7/16 wrench to hang on to that backside so I can get it good and tight. Now on these, don't be afraid to make them tight. Make sure it stays there. And again, though, this is just a 1/4 inch ratchet. It's not like it's a 3-foot bar. So that was basically really good, strong wrist strength to get that tight. And I'll switch back to the 11mm, and I'll go ahead and finish tightening the top. And these can be reasonably tight. we're not squeezing glass on these. Now, the tricky part, we gotta get the glass back in. So I'm gonna fish it in from the front side. I'll reposition you a little bit so that you can see what's going on a little bit. And then once I get the window kind of back in place, I'll have to bring you back around because there's white bushings. These bushings. See, that's going to go through the glass hole where the glass actually mounts to this bracket, okay? And then this piece goes on the outside. Well, let me get a better one because this one's not in very good shape. And this one's not great either. It's an old car. But this piece here will go on the back side of the glass towards the outside of the skin of the door. The metal will be on the back side facing the painted side. Okay, so then this is going to go through the window, and then this is going to sandwich the window, and it's going to clip together inside the glass. Now the glass is going to be sandwiched between those two. Can you see that? If I get it right, there you go. Yeah, the glass is going to be sandwiched between these two pieces here. And then it's going to rest against that metal bracket. I'll show you the piece. Okay, this piece is the new, well, this is the old piece, but it's just like the new one. This piece slides up and down on here, and that's what raises and lowers the window, right? Okay. So once that's in position and we put these on the glass, we have to get this, the plastic side, not the metal side, the plastic side rests up against that, and the bolt goes all the way through, and then you tighten it down. And the shoulder on this plastic keeps you from squeezing so hard that you break the glass. And even though it helps you not break the glass, if you get crazy tight, you're still going to break it. So don't get crazy on these. Just make it tight and let it go. And I'm not saying kind of tight. It still needs to be tight. Just don't crank it down. So now you get the glass back in place. And then it's going to be a little bit of a fight getting those back in. So let me get you positioned so you can kind of see. And this isn't easy, so there's no way to make this look easy either. So I'll show you. And I've done a few of these. I'm not saying I've done massive amounts of them, but I've done a few of these. And there's no way to make it look easy. It's not easy. Always be careful with your glass though. Don't break it. Yeah, always be careful with your glass. Okay, so I'm going to try and get this glass to start sliding down in there, up in the front. Can you see that? Now I'm going to try and get this backside to start going down in. Like I said, you have to be careful. This glass will shatter really quick. You see that backside starts to slide in? Just keep working with it. Don't force it. If you have to force it, you need to back off and do it again until you get the right place, the right position. There we go. There, now we're falling in place. Do you see that? Now it's thankfully it's staying there by itself. If it wasn't, you can use a block or like a door wedge or something like a door stop and put it in here, or a piece of tape wrapped around it somewhere to kind of hold it in position so it doesn't drop. Now let me get you back over here. Okay, there's that bracket. I'm going to reposition that bracket even if I have to plug the window switch back in and the motor. And then I can, when I hit the switch, this bracket's going to move up and down to where I can get to it, so that it's in the opening good, so that I can get to it to run the bolt through in the spacers. So let's go ahead and do that process. Yep, this first one I might be able to get it in place, but that's just the first one. So again, the metal piece, the metal side goes to the back side of the window, and then this piece goes on and it sandwiches the window, it sandwiches the glass. Now I have a longer bolt. I'm going to stick it through there. And like I said, this isn't easy, so we're going to get it up in there, get the window positioned the best that we can. And now I've got that bolt through that hole. Now from there, I can put a lock washer and a nut. Now don't make this bolt excessively long, because you don't want it to hit anything when the window's all the way up. And now I'm going to be careful to make sure I don't let it fall out of the track. I'm only going this high just to get the bolt in place. I can get both hands in there this way. I won't be able to tighten it, I'll have to lower it, but that's okay. Okay, so there's that first piece. Now I got to slide this between the bracket and the window, between the bracket and the window. And we got to get this other bolt through there. I needed more access, so I just made it. All right, back to the 7/16. We don't want to get crazy on those at all. In fact, in my case, there's room to actually double nut it, and I think I will. I don't want to make it real tight to keep it tight. Not crazy tight, anyway. So I'll add a second one, and I'll lock the two together. And I'm putting a wrench on the first one, and I'm ratcheting the second one tight. and that's locking those two nuts together. And now it shouldn't back out, and I don't have to over tighten it. Now let's check this. There we go. That looks pretty good. It goes all the way down. All the way up, no interference. There we go. So now we just need to put it back together. So to start with though, I want to go ahead and take these back off. And they are stubborn. Like I said though, be careful. They do get brittle when they get older. So that's back off. Now we need to get this back in place at least reasonably. It does help a little bit with certain situations like wind and noise and there we go. What can you say? Mowing cars. You get them together the best you can. I'm going to go ahead and put this handle screw back in. Go ahead and put the speaker back in. Now if you remember, the speaker when it came apart, because somebody's had it apart before and maybe that screw hole was stripped, they put a different screw in, and that silver one was there.
Where are you at now?
Oh. I'm getting close. This is not the usual window regulator, it's a little more in depth. It's there somewhere.
Right there, I think it just fell.
Did it? Right there. Man, it's probably pretty hot mowing that yard.
Oh no, it was pretty breezy actually, it wasn't down.
Told you to come out there. I could have been there within a half an hour, 45 minutes of when we talked.
Yeah, I mean, but I would have been watching you mow.
Right, yeah.
Wasn't really any point.
Okay. I guess the door card can go back on. Well, I better put this weather strip back on. Did I have it right? Put the door card back on. What's left of it. You got anything big left to get done today? What's that? Yeah, it's going to need a tune-up here pretty quick. You know what? I need to be sure that I have all these plugged in properly.
It's locked.
Yeah. Okay. What powers this trunk lock? That one probably. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. These here need to be plugged back in. That one. This door card's seen better days. This shouldn't be so hard, but you know. '97 though, so it's going on 30 years old. So it goes there's tabs that go in square holes, and then it slides down. Some of the tabs are already broken. So if it falls in, oh, the lock. We need to get that lock back in place. Oh shoot, I took the whole thing off. Okay. Got it?
There's one right here.
Yep, there you go. Yep. They go back in the square holes and you push down. Yeah, this thing had a conglomeration of screws because it's broken. I mean, they got to be able to pull on it to close the door, so I get what they were doing, but it's not. It might confuse some people. But all they have to do is remember not all the screws that I take out are what they got to take out. Well, there was one more screw somewhere. Well, okay, I think I'd be best off just to show what you would have to do to finish your project. We already put that screw back in, and this goes through here. It would slide in on the bottom, then it would click in at the top. Then you would plug your switches back in. Let's see. And you would put this back in place, and remember it goes straight down and clicks in. Okay, now for your intensive purposes, that's pretty much where you would stop, besides putting that screw back in down here. So put that screw back in down there and you're done, okay? But for me, I've got a little more to go, but that's as far as we go for today. Have a good one, guys.